David wiped the condensation from the cafeteria window and watched the morning traffic blur past in streams of silver and blue. The magnetic rails hummed their familiar song as transports glided through New Geneva's perpetual drizzle. He'd been running the community kitchen for 3 years now, ever since the war ended and the refugee crisis began. The children would arrive soon. They always did, right at 800 hours, their small faces pressed against the glass door until he unlocked it. "Morning, Chef David." The first voice belonged to Kale, a Zorvathian boy with bioluminescent patterns across his cheeks that flickered when he was excited. Behind him shuffled the usual group, 12 children from 6 different species, all displaced by the Convergence War. But it was the girl who caught David's attention, as she did every morning. Elsa sat at the corner table, her silver hair falling like liquid mercury around her shoulders. Her eyes, one amber, one violet, tracked everything in the room with an intelligence that unsettled him. She couldn't have been more than 9 standard years old, yet she carried herself with the composure of someone much older. "Protein synthesis pancakes today," David announced, firing up the molecular assembler, "with real maple analog." The children cheered except Elsa. She simply nodded, a small smile touching her lips. David had found her 6 months ago, huddled in an alley behind the kitchen, her clothes torn, her skin covered in what looked like circuit board tattoos that pulsed with soft light. She wouldn't tell him where she came from, wouldn't speak of her parents. Social services had no record of her, no missing persons report, nothing. So he'd done what he always did, he fed her. "You're sad today," Elsa said quietly as David placed a plate before her. Her accent was strange, cultured, with harmonic overtones that made her words feel like music. "Just tired," he lied. The truth was darker. His funding was running out. The United Earth Coalition had redirected resources to the outer colonies, and private donors had stopped returning his calls. In 2 weeks, he'd have to close the kitchen. Elsa tilted her head, studying him. "You give much and receive little. This is inefficient." "It's called compassion," David replied, managing a smile. "Not everything has to be efficient. My mother would say efficiency is survival." It was the first time Elsa had mentioned her mother. David pulled up a chair. "What's she like, your mother?" Elsa's eyes grew distant, powerful, feared. "She makes decisions that affect billions. She believes in order, structure, mathematical precision in all things." She paused. "She would not understand this place, or you." "Is she looking for you?" "She believes I am dead." The words hung in the air like a dark star. David wanted to press further, but Kale knocked over his juice, and the moment dissolved into the chaos of cleanup and laughter. That night, David stayed late, running the numbers again. No matter how he calculated, the kitchen would close. He'd have to tell the children tomorrow. The door chimed. Elsa stood in the doorway, backlit by the neon glow of the street. "You should be at the shelter," David said. "I need to show you something." Her voice carried an urgency he'd never heard before. "But first, you must promise not to be afraid." Before he could respond, Elsa raised her hand. The circuit board patterns on her skin blazed to life, and the air around her rippled. A holographic display materialized, star systems, fleet positions, communication networks spanning half the galaxy. "I am Elsa Therndak's Vole, Crown Princess of the Vole Imperium. My mother is Empress Sharon Dax, Supreme Commander of the Galactic Rim." David's chair scraped backwards. The Vole Imperium, the same empire that had crushed the Zorvathian resistance, the power behind the Convergence War, the entity that every government in known space either feared or paid tribute to. "The children are safe," Elsa interrupted. "I would never endanger them, that is why I'm here." She manipulated the hologram and images appeared, surveillance footage of the kitchen, of David serving food, of children laughing. "For 6 months I have watched you, studied you. You are an anomaly, David Castellano. In a galaxy driven by conquest and survival, you choose to give. You choose inefficiency. Why are you really here? David's voice was steady despite his racing heart. Elsa's expression softened. I ran away because I was being trained to think like my mother. Every problem had a military solution. Every species was a potential threat or resource. But I wanted to understand the mathematics of kindness. It seemed illogical that beings would sacrifice for others without strategic gain. She closed the hologram. I found my answer, and tomorrow my mother's fleet arrives at New Geneva. She is negotiating the colony's incorporation into the Imperium. She will be here in this city. David felt his stomach drop. You're going back. No, Elsa's eyes blazed with determination. I'm revealing myself, and I'm asking her for something she's never been asked for: mercy as policy, not weakness. I will tell her about this place, about you, about the statistical correlation between your kindness and the reduction in local crime, the improvement in refugee integration, the ripple effects of what you do. Elsa, I'm just a cook. You are a proof of concept, she interrupted, and I am the crown princess. My words carry weight. Your kitchen will receive imperial patronage. You will expand, and my mother will begin to see that power can be measured in more than warships. David stared at this strange, brilliant child who spoke of empires and statistics with equal facility. What if she says no? Elsa smiled, and for the first time she looked her age. Then I will remind her that I am her daughter and I learned stubbornness from watching her. Besides, I have leverage now. I've been secretly transmitting to the imperial court. They know I'm alive. The scandal of losing me would be politically inconvenient. The next morning, the children arrived to find the kitchen transformed. Imperial guards stood at attention outside, not threatening but present. And at the corner table, Elsa sat with a woman who could only be her mother. Empress Sharondax was tall, imposing, with the same liquid silver hair and mismatched eyes. She watched David with an expression that could have been curiosity or calculation. So you are the one who fed my daughter, she said, her voice carrying the weight of worlds. David straightened. I fed a hungry child, that's all. Something flickered across the Empress's face, surprise perhaps or respect. She looked at Elsa, then back at David. My daughter has presented me with an interesting proposition. She wishes to fund what she calls compassion infrastructure across the Imperium. She claims it will increase stability and reduce resistance to imperial integration. Will you allow it? David asked. The Empress was silent for a long moment. Then she smiled, a genuine expression that transformed her fearsome features. I will, not because of the statistics, though they are compelling, but because my daughter is alive and she learned something I never could. That is worth more than 1,000 star systems. She stood, her guard moving with her. Your kitchen will be the first. There will be others. And David Castellano, you are now formally appointed as an imperial advisor on humanitarian integration. Refuse, and I will be very disappointed. It wasn't really a request. As the Empress and her entourage departed, Elsa remained behind. She hugged David quickly. Thank you for teaching me that efficiency and compassion are not mutually exclusive. You changed the galaxy. You just didn't know it. Then she was gone, swept away in a shimmer of guards and protocol. David stood alone in his kitchen, surrounded by the morning light and the ghosts of laughter. Outside, the children were gathering, ready for breakfast. He smiled and fired up the molecular assembler. There was work to do.